Hey guys, Victor here, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different because I decided to do a deck profile on a Pokemon deck today instead of something like a Yu-Gi-Oh deck, which I normally do. Now, the deck that I'm going to be covering is Forretress, and if you want the deck list, it's going to be down in the description below, or if you're more like a visual kind of person, I'm going to have it spread out pretty much in its entirety at the end of the video. So yeah, just keep that in mind. For the actual like discussion for when it comes to the deck profile, I'm going to be doing it in the more Yu-Gi-Oh style where you see a couple cards at a time and then I move them to the side and, blah, 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 whatever. So with that out of the way, let's jump straight into the video. Alright, so kicking off the Pokemon lineup, we are going to be starting off with 3 Pineco. Normally you only see 2, but I feel like it's way too important to not play 3 just because you always want to have this card either like in your hand or get access to it on your bench or just somehow. And if you play 2, you risk prizing multiples, which is never a good thing. And if you play 4, you risk breaking on them because you don't want to draw too many of them. So I feel like the 3 lineup for the Pineco is perfectly fine. And then to go with our Pinecos, we're going to be playing 2 Forretress EX, which are easily the stars of the deck because it's what helps the deck function. And what it does is you can take up to 5 grass energies from your deck and then attach them to your Pokemon in any which way you'd like. So you can attach them to your grass Pokemon, or if you're playing like, even if you're not playing like a grass deck, right, you can still attach grass energies to them. The only downside, of course, is that once you use this ability, Forretress knocks itself out, so you give up 2 prize cards. So you're gonna have to be like a little bit safe. And I definitely recommend, like, before you actually use the ability Exploding Energy, you go with this attack for a couple times, especially if you're playing it's like a stage 1 deck, because you want to let your Forretress get a little bit beat up while taking single prize knockouts, and then by the time say you're playing against Lost Box, for example, it takes 3 Cramorant attacks to knock the Forretress out. So you take 2 of them, and then you've already taken 2 prizes by that point, more than likely. And then, since your Forretress has about like 40 HP left or whatever, you will finally use Exploding Energy, and then you'll set up your next Pokemon, and then you'll just continue to go to town. So yeah, if you can, try to take advantage of its attack first, because it is a bulky boy, and then after it gets roughed up a bit, you should Exploding Energy. Now, obviously, sometimes there will be some situations where just going straight for the Exploding Energy is more beneficial, but those are, on a case-by-case basis. And that's it for the Forretress lineup. Now, I decided to go with a full grass approach for this. So I'm going to be playing 2 Wo-Chien EX. Wo-Chien is fantastic, not for its, Forest Blast attack, which is just 220 damage, even though that is really useful at helping you KO decks such as Qianpao, which, just so happens to have the perfect number of 220 for HP. So, easy knockouts on that. But its first attack, Covetous Ivy, is honestly just fantastic because after you use Forretress to set up your Wo-Chien, which is what you will be doing, Wo-Chien will do 60 damage to a Pokemon on your opponent's bench for each prize card they have taken. So at a minimum, Wo-Chien will pretty much always be doing 120 damage, and this is great for sniping out small, setup mons. Just be aware, if your opponent knows what you're doing, they're probably going to set up a Manaphy as soon as possible just to try and avoid the Wo-Chien actually being able to damage the bench. So you should try and pivot your strategy somewhat slightly until the Manaphy is at least gone. And after that, we're going to be playing 2 Shaymin V. Not much to say. Much like Wo-Chien, this also has an added bonus for when your opponent takes prizes. So it does 60 damage with Revenge Blast at them. For every prize card they take, you do 40 more. And to accompany the Shaymin Vs, we play the 1 Shaymin VStar, which literally has the exact same attack, but it just does more damage. Sometimes you'll use the V-Star ability, but it's pretty rare. Most of the time you're just using this for your mid to late game when your opponent's taking like 2 to 4 prizes, because it 100% just hits like a truck. And yeah, like it's a really good card to just help clean up the board state or just put your opponent on instant pressure. And 250 HP in this metagame honestly is nothing to scoff at either, so it will be able to tank a couple of hits. After that, we have our consistency cards. So we're playing 2 Mew. There's a couple of item cards that are in this deck that are extremely important. So I play 2 Mew to help me, dig through them or dig through my deck faster so I can see them more often. So, not much to say. It's pretty generic. We never attack with Mew, but, it's fine. It's not meant to attack. It's just there to help us thin through our deck. And then for the other consistency, we play the 2 Bidoofs along with the 2 Bibarels. I don't play very many supporters, especially draw supporters, so having a card like Bibarel around to, help me draw to 5 full cards every single turn is really useful, especially when you pair it with Skwovet, which does the opposite. Basically, you take your hand, shuffle it to the bottom, and you draw one. But if you have both of them, you're basically going to be able to see 5 new cards every single turn, which is very much appreciated in this deck because it after you go for like the exploding energy, right, or even just trying to get to the exploding energy, you're gonna have a rough time in a lot of situations. So being able to set up this play for like insurance goes a long way in helping you win. We're gonna be playing one Lumineon V. Sometimes you just want to get a supporter. You don't really play it all that often, but it does come up sometimes, so you have to play the one. You also play the Radiant Greninja. You're never going to be able to attack with it because we only play grass energies, but the ability Concealed Cards is really good just to help you thin out your deck. I don't know if you guys noticed the theme, but you have to draw so many cards, and unlike decks like Lost Box, you actually have to work with it or work for it by committing way too many resources. So yeah, just keep that in mind if you do want to play this deck. It's not the easiest deck, contrary to what like you might think, because you have to do a lot of resource management and it can get really out of hand really fast. And then after that, we're going to be playing one Spiritomb. This is literally just here for Mew VMAX. The moment Mew rotates out, this card is gone because it's worthless. And honestly, even right now, I don't even enjoy playing it all that much just because you hardly ever really see Mew in the format. But you have to have it because you don't want to be like caught off guard. And for the final Pokemon, we're just playing the one Manaphy. While we're not using cards like Greninja, our opponents are, and it's very easy for them to just snipe our bench, so you have to have the one Manaphy, you know, just to protect your Pokemon, especially because there's a bunch of really small guys like the Bibarel, like the Skwovet, like the Pinecos if they haven't evolved, you know, things of that nature. And with that, that's the Pokemon lineup, and now we can finally move on to the supporter and item lineup. Alright, so when it comes to the supporters, we're going to be starting off with the most impactful one, being Iono. What more do I need to say? Forretress explodes, giving your opponent 2 prize cards. A lot of the times, especially if you're going second, your opponent will end up knocking out a Pokemon in addition to the Forretress. So they'll be down to 3 prize cards. So you Iono them, you basically make them lose all their resources, and you're pretty much fully set because you're having your Forretress boost either like a Shaymin or a Wo-Chien to just straight up just start knocking out your opponent's Pokemon. And a lot of the times, this combination is pretty deadly and can just straight up win the game. So yeah, for Iono, fantastic. You have to play 4. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Then we're also playing 2 bosses orders. You know, sometimes you just need to get something out of the bench to win the game. And one of those Pokemon just happens to be Manaphy, because this deck does struggle a lot against Manaphy. So if you can boss it out, and then after that, you go to town with your Wo-Chiens, your Shaymins, or whatever. Yeah, it just makes the game so much easier. You have to play 2. After that, we're playing the one Professor's Research. Sometimes I feel like playing more than one, but every time I do, I don't know, I don't enjoy it because I feel like it's very rare for this deck to actually be on no cards in hand. So you're typically going to be discarding a lot of precious resources that you would much rather keep in your hand. So one research is probably fine, but you could definitely make like an argument for playing more than one. And then for the final supporter, we're playing Avery. I just like the board control that Avery offers you, especially in matchups against like Miraidon or like Lost Box, even Lugia to an extent, for example, where they just completely swarm the field. You just Avery them, you force them to get rid of some key Pokemon, and then hopefully after the Avery resolves, you're able to knock out another Pokemon, and that should usually be more than enough to swing the momentum into your favor, but you definitely do not need more than one. That's it for the supporter lineup. Now we have like all our items and stuff. So we play the 4 Battle VIP Pass. Card's broken. It literally sets up your entire field alone. There's no reason not to play 4. After that, we're going to be playing 4 Ultra Ball. Also another fantastic card. Even though you do have to discard 2 cards to, you know, be able to actually use it, it's fine because it always gets you the key piece that you need for your combo to actually, you know, go off. If you need a Forretress, this will get it to you. If you need a Wo-Chien, this will also get it to you. It literally just gets you any Pokemon you want for whatever situation may arise. Then we have the 3 Nest Balls. An argument could be made for 4, but since we already have the 4 Battle VIP Passes, I don't think we need to max out on Nest Ball. Once VIP Pass rotates, which it will eventually, hopefully, then you for sure have to play the 4 Nest Balls, but until then, 3 is perfectly fine. And next, we're going to be playing 3 Boost Shake. So this card is really cool because what it does is you search your deck for a card that evolves from one of your Pokemon and put it onto that Pokemon to evolve it. Then you shuffle your deck, and then after this, you know, card resolves, your turn ends. So whether you're going first or you're going second, this card is phenomenal because it instantly sets you up with a Forretress that you can use on your next turn. And especially when you're going second, right? Because if you go second, this deck struggles it just does not function going second because there's so many decks that set up way faster than this. So by being able to just, you know, play a Pineco down, even if you only have the one, you can boost shake it into Forretress, put it at 270 HP. A lot of the times your opponent's not going to be able to knock it out, so that means you're going to have free reign to use your Forretress to blow up and then attach energies to however you see fit on your bench. And yeah, just the acceleration that this card offers you is invaluable. And like I said, that's for going second. If you go first, the game is straight up over. Legit. You go Pineco, boost shake into Forretress. Your opponent does whatever they do, and since it's turn 1, they're not going to be able to attack or set up their board all that well. And then you just, you know, if you have the Wo-Chien, you can start targeting Ralts if you're playing against Gardevoir, or if you're playing against Chien-Pao, you can start targeting their Frigibaxes. It's like things just get out of hand so quickly on turn 1 or turn 2 when you use boost shake. So I really enjoy this card, and it's searchable by Mew too. Mewtwo, not Mewtwo. So yeah, I really like it in this deck. Unfortunately, this is also one of those cards that's typically gonna more than likely rotate out eventually because it's part of the E block. So it could happen anywhere between Afterworlds and 3 months from now, maybe even longer, who knows. But until then, you gotta abuse it while you can. Then we're gonna be playing 2 Path to the Peak. So this may seem a little weird because we play Forretress, right? And we want to resolve the ability, but after you use it once, your abilities literally don't matter. So you just go Forretress, blow yourself up, play Path to the Peak, Iono them, they don't get their abilities, you're fully set up, and Path to the Peak plus Iono after a Forretress, that's pretty nasty, I'm not gonna lie. Next we're playing 2 switches. This deck does have some trouble, you know, getting Pokemon out of the active zone, especially if it's like a Bibarel that was bossed up. So we play the switch just to help us, you know, get those guys out of there. Or especially even turn 1, right, where if you start with like a Pineco because you have nothing else, it has a 2 retreat cost. So if you get to like a Mew, for example, you can switch your Pineco out with the Mew, try to hit like another battle VIP pass or a boost shake, and then a lot of the times, yeah, it just happens to work out. And then for the final item cards, we played the 1 Lost Vacuum, the 1 Palpad, and the 1 Super Rod. Not much to say, just good generic cards that you always want to have on hand. And while I'm at it, I'll just talk about the energies really quick. So I'll move to the side. We just play 10 grass energies. I never really feel like you need more than that, especially because we play the Super Rod to get our resources back. And yeah, but if you want, I could easily see this going up to like 11, maybe even 12 if you can find the space. So yeah, with that, I'll be right back with the full layout of the deck. So stay tuned. So final thoughts on this deck. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of inconsistent. It can definitely take wins off like the best decks in the format, whether it's Lugia, Lost Box, you know, things of that nature. Somehow it has a really decent matchup against Chien-Pao. I don't know why, probably because Chien-Pao hits that sweet spot of 220 HP, and we can snipe the bench of the Frigibaxes. But I don't recommend taking this deck past like a local level unless you're just trying to have fun, because this deck will not do well at like the regional scene or international challenges, you know, things of that nature. At least not until we get better grass support. So, until then, if you guys enjoyed it, please let me know down below, because I definitely want to do more of these types of videos, because in addition to the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, I do enjoy playing Pokemon a lot, and I definitely want to showcase it more on this channel if you guys are into it. So, without further ado, if you enjoyed the video, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!